All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, your homework for tonight. You have a 3-day weekend, and it's really not that bad. Mostly because I feel bad for some of the people in the room who have both AP Gov and AP World this week. For homework, you are writing your Africa in the Cold War DBQ. Looks like this. Okay, and then you are writing on your SAQs. Take out your SAQ one. I want you to number them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know. Okay, tonight for homework, you are doing number 3 and number 4 SAQ. So you have 1 DBQ and 2 SAQs. Is everyone clear on what the expectation is? That's not that bad. Let's be clear. All right. Which one do you want to work on, DBQ or SAQ? Why does it matter? What?
I'd rather get to the SAQ, so like we don't have to
DBQ.
Raise your hand if you want DBQ. We can do DBQ. That's fine. I mean, it's kind of a waste of your time, but that's fine. All right, here we go. All right. Evaluate the extent to which African countries were able to conduct independent policies during the Cold War period. What does conduct independent policies mean, Lily?
Like where they kind of got their own freedom from the
Yeah, decolonization. Evaluate the extent to which African countries were able to conduct independent policies during the Cold War. What is the Cold War period? What is the date range on that, Stella? 1945 to 1991. There you go. All right, that's the prompt. Document 1, United States Congress, House of Representatives, Committee on Un-American Activities, How Communists Menace Vital Materials, published in 1956. How Communists Menace Vital Materials. Okay, a legend below the map provides assessments by the Committee of Un-American Activities regarding Soviet activities in various parts of the world. The assessment for Africa, arrow number 3, reads Africa, encouragement of nationalist terrorists, stirring up racial tension, psychological warfare against the U.S. and the West based on colonialism and color. All right, so is this Russian or is this pro-Russia or pro-U.S.? That's pro-U.S. I think it's always important. When you're doing Cold War, I think it's always important when you do pro-U.S., pro-Russia. Doesn't that make sense? Okay. So, okay, it's pro-U.S. Assessment of Africa reads Africa, encouragement of national terrorists. What does that mean? Nationalist terrorist. What does that mean, Thomas?
Sort of like terrorist organizations like one of the.
You can't use the same word in your definition of a word. Dylan? Yeah, the rebel groups. What would be an example of a rebel group out of Africa? Algerians, maybe. Okay. Stirring up racial tensions. When we talk about racial tensions, okay, who started the stirring up of racial tensions? The Europeans. Europeans started it. Okay, psychological warfare against the United States. So the whole point of all of this is to turn what? Turn countries away from who? From U.S. Okay. Now, are the Soviets super active or not very active? What?
How is this pro-US and then like it's saying to turn away interest from the US?
I don't know. Someone answer a question. I know the answer. I've already talked to Thomas. Rohan.
It's like saying what the Soviets are doing.
There you go. It's stating what Soviets are doing against the U.S. Are they active or inactive? They are very actively turning people against U.S. There you go. Document number 2. Source, editorial in Evening News, the official newspaper of the ruling Ghanan Convention People's Party, published on the eve of their first conference of independent African states, Accra, Ghana, 1958. What do we know about Ghana? I've taught you Ghana. Izzy?
They have a peaceful separation, no war with England.
Yes. Okay, so they leave England, leave UK without conflict. Okay. When it is an African uprising against tyranny and oppression, the imperialists call it terrorism. But when it is white people taking up arms under similar conditions, they call it a just cause. For example, the recent Hungarian uprising was universally praised just as an opposition against oppression, and the Hungarians who participated in it were christened freedom fighters. But what the Russians did to the Hungarians that the free world made so much fuss about was the same thing the British did to Kenya and the French are doing to Algeria. So what is he saying here? What is he saying here? I've already talked to these people. Emerson?
There's a racial inequality over, like...
Racial undertones to how the media describes decolonization. It is high time that we blunt and impartial in our condemnation of imperialism, regardless of which power is carrying it out. We have no love for Russia, and we are not interested in the dirty business of Eastern Western power bloc politics. Okay, so do they want to be on any team?
Yeah.
They don't want to participate in Cold War. So what would we write up here? Are they pro-Russia, pro-US, or neutral? Neutral. But so many in the West are ready to accuse Russia of her brutalities, yet defend Western imperialism because they claim it is saving Africa from terrorism of self-rule. The star it's a reference to the Hungarian Revolution, 1956, which mass protests toppled the country's communist government, leading to a Soviet-led military invasion and the forcible reimposition of Soviet rule. Okay? All right. Document number 3, the United States Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, Director Alan Dulles, secret diplomatic telegram to the CIA agent in the Congolese capital, Leopold, August 26, 1960. In your dispatch of August 18th, you expressed the opinion that the Congo is experiencing a classic communist takeover, which is a reference to the 1960s Congolese election, which brought to power Patrice Lumumba, an independent Congo's first prime minister. Whether or not Lumumba himself is a communist or just playing the communist game to help him solidify power, you state that there might be little time left in which to take action if we were to avoid another Cuba. What does he mean by another Cuba, Rinkus?
Like the Cuban Missile Crisis.
No. Charlie.
It's like didn't Cuba like side with Russia and become communist?
There you go. Side with Russia. They don't have nukes or anything. And the reason why the Cuban Missile Crisis is such a big deal is because it's 90 miles off our coastline. We can't shoot it down. Side with Russia, not U.S. In high quarters here in Washington, there's a clear-cut conclusion that as long as Lumumba continues to hold high office, the inevitable result will be at least chaos, and the worst, it could pave the way to communist takeover of the Congo. So what is the worst thing that the United States sees? What is the worst thing that can happen in the eyes of the United States? Nola. U.S. is threatened by any country becoming a communist coming. Take over the Congo with disastrous consequences for the U.S. and for the interests of the free world. Consequently, we could conclude that Lumumba's removal must be an urgent and prime objective that could be a high priority of our covert action. Oh my goodness! What are we implying here? What are we implying, Amy?
That we should follow the truth doctrine.
No. Dylan?
You need to do it like secretly. Like,
What? Do what, dude?
overthrow the.
Is it overthrow him or what? Blow him up. Yeah, it's kill. Kill Lumumba by the CIA. And why would we kill someone? Because they are a threat. There you go. So is this pro-US,
Yeah.
pro-Russia, or neutral? It's the U.S. It's the U.S. interpretation. So it's a little biased. It doesn't fit nicely in one country versus another. All right, document 4. Franz Fanon, whatever. French West Indian political philosopher and activist toward the African Revolution book in 1964. It is surely not by chance that the hand of Moscow is discovered in an almost stereotyped way behind each demand for the national independence put forth by a colonial people. What does that even mean in English, Ellery? What is a threat? No. Thomas?
The USSR is sort of it's really behind every.
What does that mean? You can't use the same words that are in it. What does it mean?
The USSR is promoting the sort of independence movements and that.
There you go. USSR is trying to get countries to rebel against the West. This is because any difficulty that is put in the way of the supremacy of the West is seen as a threat to the economic power and its military interest. This is because any difficulty that is put in the way of the supremacy of the West is seen as a threat to its economic power. What does this mean? What does this mean? What do you got, Marla?
That like the competition between Russia and the West is like sabotaging each other.
It's just mostly all about the West.
That the power in Russia is like threatened.
Sort of. You're getting there. Izzy?
The West will take over the USSR's businesses and
No. It is surely not by chance that the hand of Moscow is discovered in almost stereotyped way behind each demand for national independence put forth by colonial people. We understand this one. This is because any difficulty that is put in the way of the supremacy of the West is seen as a threat to the economic power and its military interest. What does it mean, Dylan?
Is it saying that like the USSR is like in the colonies when like they have like when the West is rising in it, they see it as like a direct threat to them. That's why they go no.
Kind of, but no. Viola?
It's saying that like the West is threatened by the spread of communism, and
No.
it's gonna take out.
You're going the wrong way with it.
Okay.
What do you got, Stella?
Like the stronger that the West gets, the more threatened Russia becomes.
This is because any difficulty that is put in the way of the supremacy of the West is seen as a threat to its economic power. Guys, how are you reading it the wrong way? Rowan.
It's just like any rebellion by any colony, but it's like it threatens the power of the West.
Yeah. Any challenge to the West weakens who? Weakens, no, the West. It's the West. Anytime anyone challenges the West lose. Think about it. Does France look good fighting in the Algerian War? Do they seem all smart and enlightened and advanced when they're slaughtering 1 million people in like 6 months? No, they don't. Okay? That's the problem. Anytime the West gets involved in an independence movement, they ruin it for themselves. Okay? They absolutely butcher it for themselves because they're not actually living by the morality. Is the United States, we just read one that said the CIA is trying to kill them. That they're thinking of killing the Congolese leader. Is that less living by our best morals of democracy? No. So anytime that you re-examine what the West is doing, is it leaving up to its morals? And what it's putting out there as propaganda? No, it's not. And that's what it's trying to say. Okay? It weakens the West. Any challenge to the West weakens the West because we look terrible. I don't think I've told you a lot of things post-World War II that's made you really proud. Has it, as an American? How many countries have we bombed? How many governments have we used to the benefit of ourselves to the destruction of them? It's not a lot of warm, fuzzy stuff. Can we agree? All right. The position taken by a few newly independent countries which are determined to remain outside the policy of the superpower blocs has introduced a new dimension into the balance of forces of the world. What are they talking about here? We don't like this piece. Who are they talking about, Joshua? No. Who are they talking about, Emerson?
The neutral alliance.
Neutral countries of the Cold War. Is there a lot of them or few? Few. Adopting this so-called policy of positive neutralism, of non-dependence, of non-commitment, the underdeveloped countries that are awakening from a long slumber of slavery and oppression are trying to remain outside of any warlike involvement in order to devote themselves to the urgent economic task of staving off hunger to improve of man's lot. So, is this pro-West, pro-communist, or neutral? It's neutral. Okay. Document 5, Victor Bakin, whatever, Soviet diplomatic official in Poland briefing the Polish officials of Soviet activities in Somalia, 1971. After the 1969 military coup of Somalia and the assumption of the power of the General Siad Barre's Revolutionary Council, many positive elements in Somali domestic and foreign policies can be observed. Okay? So, power of therefore the Soviet Union is planning to comprehensively activate its relations with that country, including the following activities it's undertaken so far. Okay, so Somalia is leaning on who? USSR. The USSR. Okay. In the economic field, the Soviet Union offered Somalia a long-term loan of 40 million rubles. The sending of additional Soviet specialists to Somalia was also agreed. Currently, there are 111 Soviet specialists outside the military field in Somalia, including 5 professionals working in various Somali government departments. 32 Soviet teachers and 18 Soviet doctors are planned to travel to Somalia this year. There are 350 Somalis, except for those at military academies, are currently studying in the Soviet Union. In the military field, the Soviet Union also provides military assets to Somalia. The Somali army, numbering 14,000 troops, is almost exclusively equipped with Soviet weaponry and is trained by Soviet military specialists. Somali staff officers are trained in the Soviet Union. We seek to further promote relations with Somalia and hope that the other socialist countries, including Poland, will soon develop their economic and political ties with that country. It would be desirable, therefore, to coordinate USSR and other socialist countries' targets in that regard. Okay, so this is pro what? Pro USSR. Okay, and what is this trying to highlight? It highlights what? Highlights the what? The benefits of working with who? I mean, it sounds pretty good. I mean, they're really trying to focus on a bunch of stuff. Can we agree? It's not too bad. Janez whatever. Yugoslav ambassador to Somalia report to the Yugoslav government sent from Mogadishu, Somalia, 1975. Okay. Although many questions remain open as to the reason behind President Siad's recent invitation to the Americans to inspect the Soviet military-built facilities in the Somalia port of Beira, I believe it was aimed at demonstrating to the world that the Soviet-friendly Somalia can retain control over all of its military installations. So what's the problem here? What is the problem here, Harding? No, that is not the problem. Is he? Somalia is becoming more friendly with U.S. And why is that a problem, Izzy? Okay, it threatens USSR connection. This affirms the Somali policy of independence and non-alignment. Okay, non-alignment. Okay, so keep in mind, we just talked about it. So we're pro-USSR, but it is unaligned. So the Soviets are trying to get it, but it is unaligned. You have to know all of these things are related. So as you're learning stuff, you need to modify, yes? So in 1971, it looks like they're leaning towards the Soviets, yes? The Soviets are trying to, love bomb them by sending them all of these things to help Somalia. But in 1975, what are Somalis doing? They're looking around and saying, hey, U.S., and the U.S. is saying, hey, Somalia. And that's how we're moving along here. All right, President Siad might also intend to lessen Somali diplomatic isolation in order to engage with Arab League, the Organization of African Unity, and other non-aligned countries. So they are beginning to look elsewhere for help and connection. Away from who? Away from Russia. The Soviet Union took advantage of the locals, building military complexes according to Soviet needs. This is taking a toll on Somalia's path toward the true independence. Okay, so why are they looking elsewhere? Because the Soviets were doing this for themselves. This is taking a toll towards independence. The American inspections, though humiliating, are improving Somali-American relations. They hint at a possible future where the United States provides economic and humanitarian assistance in order to match Soviet influence. This would expand the Somali leadership room for maneuvering. In the mid-1970s, the relationship between Saad Barre's government and the Soviet Union began to deteriorate because of Soviet unwillingness to back Somali claims over parts of neighboring Ethiopia. Okay. All right, document 7. Robert Mugabe, leader of the Zimbabwe African National Unity, a political and military organization trying to end white minority rule Interview of Mozambique based on newspaper Tempo, 1978. We are not a creation of the Soviet Union or Cuba. We are a creation of Zimbabwe. Our army is a manifestation of nationalist desires of our people, a product of history of our country. It is true that the Soviets gave us aid, as did the entire international socialist community. ZAPU trained militants in Cuba, and after 1967, so did we. But though we trained the cadres in socialist countries, this did not transform our army into a Russian or Chinese army. Our war is supported by the progressive world, and it is true that our objective is the liquidation of imperialism and colonialism. But it is the Zimbabwean people we are fighting for. No one can deny us the right to seek aid from our friends and allies, but it has always be Zimbabweans who direct the struggle. All right. So, what is happening in this piece? What do we got? Luke.
Zimbabwe is like, they're talking about how they're like trying to be more, like, communist.
No, that's not it at all. Joshua.
They want to be neutral. Not so.
There you go. Zimbabwe wants to be neutral, but what have they done? What have they done, Izzy? But has taken aid from who? From Russia, from USSR, which doesn't mean they're communist. All right. How much time do we have? Okay, so if you were going to write this essay, which you will be, what do we got to do next? We got to do our plan. Groups, docs, intro. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Let's look at the prompt. Evaluate the extent to which African countries were able to conduct independent policies during the Cold War period. Do not say they're pro-Russian, anti-Russian, neutral. Those are terrible groups. Don't do it. But it does make it easier to identify them when we're looking back. Is everyone clear on that? That's why we labeled them. All right, so what are some groups that we can make looking at that answer the question, evaluate the extent to which African countries were able to conduct independent policies during the Cold War? Marla.
African countries that took aid from the Soviet Union.
But why were they taking aid? That would be a better...
To conduct independence policies.
You're kind of close, but I think we could do a little bit better on the grouping. Lily?
African countries that took aid from other countries so they could get independence.
That is quite a group title. My goodness. We're going to be writing this for days. Anyone can consolidate that? I think that's what you were trying to say, wasn't it? Izzy? We didn't talk about a single country in South Africa. None of the documents are South African. Dylan?
African countries that took Soviet aid to gain independence.
Taking aid for independence, not alliance. Oh, that's good. Right?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I'm impressed with myself. All right, what's another group we can make? I'm not helping you anymore. What's another group? Dylan.
Taking aid for independence and alliance with USSR.
No. What?
Can we do
Wait, what?
Like going neutral.
Neutral to avoid what?
To avoid another one. Or like.
Well, why do they want to stay neutral? I think that's a really important point. Huh?
They don't want to be involved with
I thought they don't want to be involved. Why are they staying neutral? Marla?
To stay neutral to avoid like being colonized again.
Yeah, Marla. Neutral. Except they don't know how to spell neutral. Neutral to avoid second colonization. Yeah, they're afraid of being taken over again and imperialized. All right. Let's put some documents in some of these groups here. Who are neutral to avoid second colonization? Thomas? 7 absolutely works. Perfect. Anyone else? Can we put any other documents in neutral to avoid second colonization? One of them is neutral for a little funky reason, right, guys?
5 and 6 was the same country.
Would we do 5 and 6?
Because they were talking about like being neutral, so that they. I'm sorry, they were going to be not 5, just
No. Yeah, 5 definitely belongs where, Rinkus?
in the second one.
5?
First one.
Yeah, taking 8 for independence, right? Okay, so that's what I would do. What do you got, Viola?
I think 4 goes into the second.
4 goes into the second. Anyone have any arguments? Everyone agrees? 4? Okay, we can put 4. Yeah, neutral. All right, we got a couple crossed off. All right, let's look at document 1, 2, 3, and 6. We don't have homes for them. Is there maybe a group that we see a couple of those can go into? Marla?
African countries that had like freedom fighter or like rebel groups that wanted to gain independence.
I think every group had that, didn't they? Emerson?
What do we do? They're all 4, 5, 1, and 3 are all like from US.
Okay, so what are we going to say?
Like US or Western like developments.
No, that is way too vague. No. Come on, we need a group. What do you got, Nola?
1 and 2 involve like racist towards like 2 involves the racist, like it's the propaganda that describing the colonization.
Okay.
That's only 1 and 2.
Do you want to make a group about racism? I mean, it's 2. Can we fit all the other documents into the other ones? 6 can go in the second one? Do we agree or disagree? We agree? Okay. So we need a home for 1, 2, and 3. So do you want to make a racism one? Well, who is being racist? White people. The West, right? Okay. The West struggles to embrace racial the West struggles to embrace what do you got?
African independence.
Sure. African independence at all. Fine. Perfect. All right, 1 and 2 can go there. All right. We need a home for 3. Where are we putting 3? It has to go in 1. If it doesn't go in 1, then we have to make a new group. Does it go in 1? Does it? Or we got to make a new group. Thomas? Which one do we need? 3? No. Taking 8 for independence, not alliance.
I probably don't like the
know. You could make it an argument.
Could we put it in avoiding second colonization? Because, like, they don't. USSR invade, or not invade, but like take over.
That's like that's getting involved.
That's West, yeah. I don't know. I think you can make an argument. Let's put it in third. I think you can do it taking aid. I think you can do it. Taking aid, but not alliance. Well, the reason why the United States is there to Congolese capital. I don't know. It could be a little tricky. That's a you problem, not a me problem, though.
Yeah.
Are we sticking with it or you want to change it? What? We sticking? Okay, here we go.
Put like 2 to neutral, to second colonization.
What's the matter, Dylan? What is bad?
No, just think about this.
Are you just pumped about it? You just can't wait?
I'm so happy.
Okay. When we're your intro, okay? When we're talking about documents 5 and 3, let's look at them real quick. 5 and 3.
What if you put 2 for number 1 and then we put 3 for the when the other countries after independence?
I like 2. I like 2 here. I like that, Viola. I like that. And where do you want 3?
3 can go in like in Western countries after independence. It's a CIA's right.
Yeah.
That's so smart.
All right, where do you want it?
With the struggles.
There you go. 3. I like it. All right, good. All right, Viola, you made the whole team happy. Good for you, girl. All right, here we go. So, taking aid for independence, not alliance. 5 and 2. What is the biggest thing that we need to really hit from this? 5 is with the USSR. 2. Anything? Charlie?
You said like they want to stay non-aligned, so they're not dependent on
Yeah. They need the financial assistance. To gain independence. But they don't. Want to be dominated by foreign powers. All right, looking at 7, 4, and 6. What is the big things we're trying to stress here? I'm ready for spring break in case anyone cares. Does anyone care? What do you got, Luke?
The USSR is trying to like prevent the African countries from like converting to Western like ideals.
I did not hear a single thing that you just said to me because my department head sent me a text of something that I was supposed to do at 8:30 this morning. And I am now responding because now I feel like an idiot because I didn't respond. I am about to listen right now and really process what you said. So I am so sorry. That was very rude, but I got yelled at in a text message, and that startled my little heart. Go ahead, Luke. I'm listening.
The USSR is trying to like gain or like keep control of the African countries that like might be switching to.
There you go. Okay, the USSR is trying to manipulate USSR is trying to manipulate countries with support and funding to reject the West. Okay, and then the West struggles to embrace Africa's independence. What do we got here? When you look at document 1 and 3, what is it trying to do? What do you got, Lily?
It's showing how like the US doesn't support any country that's communist or communist.
Yes. Okay. So, struggles with the West. Okay. The West wants countries to follow them even if they don't lead them. And struggle when they oppose, when they challenge. Let's do challenge. Western standards. There you go. Bless you. All right. What do you got, Joshua?
We have to restate the prompt and go back in. Like, in our answer.
Yeah, dude. How many rubrics have you done where you have to say restate the prompt? Every single time you got to restate the prompt. Every single time. All right. You have the remainder of the period. I would just start writing. Yeah? How much time is it?
3 minutes.
Oh, that's not a ton of time.
I finished the 2 S's we planned on for.
Well, there you go, Luke. Are we trying to turn it around?
Well, I'm for sure turning 2.